Hey guys, welcome back to the Basement Grow. This week we have some good news and some bad news. That's right, we found big old nanners on the cherryLimeJACK. What are we gonna do about it? Are we gonna A, freak out, B, cry in the corner, C, take action? All of the above. Now let's take some action. Gently remove the plant from the grow, bag it, and dispose of it. Then I'm going to grab my trusty Chapin of H2O and go and spray the plants from the bottom to the top and then the top to the bottom. Meaning we're not going to leave one piece of this plant dry. We're going to cover the whole thing in H2O because we know H2O kills pollen. I don't think anything escaped from the sack that opened. I only saw one nanner on that cherryLimeJACK that did open up, but it didn't poof, it just cracked. But we're not taking any chances, guys. We're going to come in, we're going to inspect these plants really, really well. They've already been soaked down. I've got fans and dehumidifiers in here, and I already mopped up the floor. So we made it rain down in the basement. We got a cement floor, we can do that. It doesn't cause any problems. So for now, we're going to continue to look these flowers up and down the lower branches as well as the upper branches. Look for any nanners we might see. And we haven't seen any, guys. We searched this whole room. I looked throughout the plants. No signs of any nanners. So the rest of this is just going to be a garden tour. Here's the Mandarin Temple R1. We will be up close and personal because I'm always looking right now. We're paranoid. So we're going to be getting tight shots of these flowers. And you'll be able to see the progression from last week or 10 days ago when we made our last video. I don't think this plant's going to yield too much, but she is starting to stack up and down at week 5 of flower. So we'll stay positive. She looks good. Nice white hairs, cool color. All right, let's move on to the Raspberry Unicorn. Oh, she's so beautiful, guys. I love this plant. Lots of color. It's going to look kind of freaky deaky because we just soaked her down. But trust me, she'll be just fine. This is the right thing to do. These flowers aren't going to mold up. This is an open area. So it'll dry out in probably an hour and a half. But look at the lower buds there. They're stacking all the way up and down. 10 days ago, we showed you that they were just popping up there, but they're all starting to swell. So hopefully these branches will all turn into solid nugs all the way up and down. So far, I couldn't be happier with this plant. She is beautiful from the top to the bottom, and she's looking very, very promising with the raspberry flowers. Okay, let's move on to the 3 jelly donuts from Humboldt Seed Company. We know these girls are sensitive, guys. It's a 7-week photo period plant. These girls are all clean. We've searched them all from the top to the bottom. No more signs of any nanners on any of these flowers in the whole grow, which is great news, guys. Great news. However, this one jelly donut to the left over here, she had me a little worried because I was finding these little round balls at the nodes that I thought might be pollen sacs. And they turned out to just be bracts after I did a little research. They were round in nature and had hair sticking out of them. And it turns out, from what I've learned, that the pollen sacs will be shaped more like a football and they won't have hair sticking out of them. And everything turned out to be okay. Those bracts opened up. They were just pre-flowers. So we've been keeping a real close eye on this grow. We've got so many different strains in here, guys. I was bummed out about that cherryLimeJACK, but ultimately we've done everything we needed to do to save the rest of this grow, and that's what's important, is to get to harvest with some quality flower. Okay, the last girl I'm going to show you is this permanent marker from Elite Clones and Seeds. Very nice color on this girl. The leaves are starting to really get dark, and she's not really huge right now at week 5, but there's still plenty of time to plump up. So I'm confident she's going to get a little bit fatter. She's starting to eat a little bit more, guys. Remember I said she was a light feeder? Now we're feeding her about every 3 days. Before we were feeding her about every 4 or 5 days. So I'm pretty sure she'll start getting a little bit bigger. All right, guys, we're going to hit the outdoor. Let's check it out. Welcome to the Outdoor Grow, guys. You're looking at the super stanky 88G13. That's right, I got one outdoor and one indoor. And this girl has really benefited from that last defoliation that we threw down on the 3 big Frankenberry diesels. Now she's getting a lot more sunshine and a lot more air, and the growth was almost overnight. And she is a keeper, guys. Been stinky since I transplanted her out of her little solo cup into the 1 gal. And she's still got that same stank all this time later. All right, moving over to the Frankenberry diesels. How are they responding after that massive defoliation 4 days ago? Well, as you can see, the arms are starting to jut up, and there's actually been about 3 inches of growth on the top just in 4 days. And the plants are not showing any signs of stress. So I think this was a good thing, growers. We are getting a lot of light penetration now. The wind can blow through these plants. They're not acting like a sail in the wind and just bending right over. And we are also avoiding a lot of problems like mold, caterpillars, thrips, obvious insect problems. But the plants are going to stretch and stretch for another 4 or 5 weeks. Or maybe not stretch, but continue to fill out before they go into flower at about the 2nd week of August. And the heat has been up in the 90s and the humidity has been up in the 70s plus. So I think if we didn't do what we did, that these plants would have ended up choking themselves out, maybe tipping over from the high winds. Who knows? But they seem to be happy and they seem to be responding. Now, I did receive a few comments, which I love. I absolutely love the comments. It makes this so much more fun when you have an audience that responds and you're interacting with. And I want the good and I want the bad. So go ahead and ask me the questions. And a lot of old school growers, not a lot, but a few out there, were upset with how we pruned this plant and said, I would have never done that to those beautiful plants, or I would have never butchered that plant the way you did. And I understand where they're coming from. It's different styles, but I made my decision because of the thickness of the canopy, the time left we still had in veg before they started to flower, and frankly, we're running out of real estate down here. Being up on these tables, which I need to be because we also have moles and voles out here in the country to contend with. So that's why they're up on the tables in these containers. Now, we've been getting some other comments that have been addressing the container size, and a lot of growers are telling me, hey, you should be in like 50, 60, up to 100-gallon containers with those big girls. You do a lot better. And I completely agree with you guys. This was an oversight on my part. I put these girls, they were all in 12-gallon totes when I put them out in the 3rd week of May up here. And they acclimated for about 10 days, and then I transplanted them into these 25-gallon totes. This girl's actually in a 20-gallon Rubbermaid trash can tote. So the other ones are in more squat, wider pots. They're 25-gallon totes. But I 100% with you growers, and I appreciate the feedback again. I really wish I had put these in some 50s or something. So we'll learn from that. We'll go to school off of everybody like we always do on this channel. And that's what all the feedback is really great for, You just become a better grower when you keep an open mind and you communicate with your community. And can't tell you how much I appreciate all that feedback. All right, there's one more look at that 88G13. She's stinky, guys. Been stinky since she was little. She's still stinky. She's a keeper. I'm going to cut a clone off of this girl and put her someplace because I do believe she's a keeper. Okay, my friends, that's going to wrap up this one. I want to say thank you to all of the people who've been subscribing to the small channel and all of the love we've been receiving. You're the best.